The British Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in history, spanning more than a quarter of the world's land area at its peak. Its history is a complex and multifaceted one that has left a lasting impact on the world we live in today. The empire emerged in the 16th century as the British began to establish colonies and trading posts in various parts of the world. The early years of the empire were marked by a focus on trade and commerce. The British East India Company, founded in 1600, played a key role in establishing British influence in India, and the company's trading activities helped to lay the foundations for British imperialism in the region. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, the British Empire continued to expand, with colonies and territories established in North America, the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. The empire's growth was fueled by a number of factors, including the development of new technologies, the growth of the British Navy, and the increasing demand for raw materials and markets for British goods. The British Empire's control over India was particularly significant, as the country was one of the world's richest and most populous regions. The East India Company's rule over India was marked by a number of brutal conflicts and acts of violence, including the massacre at Amritsar in 1919, which claimed the lives of hundreds of Indian civilians. In addition to India, the British Empire also exerted significant control over many other regions. In North America, the British established colonies along the eastern seaboard, including Virginia, Massachusetts, and New York. These colonies were established primarily for economic reasons, as the British sought to exploit the region's natural resources and establish trade routes with Europe. The British also established a significant presence in the Caribbean, where they established colonies in Jamaica, Barbados, and other Caribbean islands. These colonies were primarily focused on sugar production, which was a highly profitable industry at the time. The 19th century saw the British Empire reach its peak as the British established colonies and territories in new regions, including Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. The empire's control over these territories was often marked by violence and oppression, as indigenous populations were subjugated and exploited. The British Empire's control over Africa was particularly significant, as the continent was rich in natural resources and offered new markets for British goods. The British established colonies in many parts of Africa, including Kenya, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, the Gambia, and South Africa, to name a few, and their rule was marked by a number of brutal conflicts and acts of violence. The 20th century saw the decline of the British Empire as colonies and territories began to gain independence. The process of decolonization was often marked by violence and conflict, as colonized peoples fought for their freedom and independence. Some of the most significant events in the process of decolonization included India's independence in 1947 and the end of apartheid in South Africa in 1994. Today, the legacy of the British Empire can still be seen in many parts of the world. The English language, which was spread through the empire, is now spoken by more than 1 billion people worldwide. The empire's economic and political systems have also had a lasting impact, shaping the world we live in today. However, the legacy of the British Empire is also marked by violence, oppression, and exploitation, and its history continues to be the subject of debate and controversy. Many people argue that the empire's legacy of violence and exploitation has had lasting impacts on the countries and peoples it colonized, contributing to poverty, instability, and conflict. Overall, the history of the British Empire is a complex and multifaceted one that has left a lasting impact on the world. While the empire was undoubtedly a powerful force in shaping the modern world, its legacy remains a subject of ongoing debate and discussion. Some view the British Empire as a force for good, arguing that it spread democracy, freedom, and the rule of law to many parts of the world. Others argue that the empire was a tool of exploitation and oppression, used to subjugate and control populations around the globe. One of the key legacies of the British Empire is its impact on the political and economic systems of the countries it colonized. Many of the institutions and systems of government that exist in former British colonies today are modeled on those established by the British during their rule. This includes the parliamentary system of government, the legal system, and the civil service. The influence of British colonialism can also be seen in the adoption of the English language, which has become a lingua franca in many parts of the world. Despite these legacies, the British Empire also had a darker side. The empire's rule over India, for example, was marked by violence, exploitation, and oppression. Millions of Indians were killed or displaced as a result of British policies, and the country's resources were drained to benefit the British economy. Similarly, the British Empire's role in Africa was marked by violence, exploitation, and the subjugation of indigenous populations. The legacy of these policies can still be seen in the poverty, instability, and conflict that many of these countries continue to experience today. Another key legacy of the British Empire is its impact on global politics. The empire played a significant role in shaping the modern world order, laying the foundations for the United Nations and other international institutions. However, the empire's legacy is also marked by the tensions and conflicts that emerged as a result of its policies. This includes the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has its roots in the British Empire's policies during the early 20th century. Overall, the history of the British Empire is a complex and multifaceted one that continues to shape the world we live in today. While the empire was undoubtedly a powerful force in shaping the modern world, its legacy remains a subject of ongoing debate and discussion. As we continue to grapple with the legacy of colonialism and imperialism, it is important to recognize the contributions and challenges that the British Empire brought to the world.